Hi, here I have Mr. Peter Adams, and Peter Adams is going to be joined by me shortly. I'm going to interview Peter on chess, life and music. And so here we go. So I'm going to get in the picture. So here we go with Peter. So can you please introduce yourself, Peter, and what sort of your degrees and that you've got way over me and all that sort of thing, because well, one thing I've noticed is that you gave me directions to get here, and it was like
I'm amazed you know the rules of chess because you got so lost on getting around Dunedin. It makes me think you know that a knight goes two squares.
I know. I decided to wing it a little bit because that's the difference. There's a difference between structure and there's a difference between just sort of like go out and just wing it.
Yes. Yes. I should have said to you, you've got to go like a knight, and then like a knight again, and then a knight again, and you would have been fine.
You're a conductor,
yeah,
and one of the most famous conductors of New Zealand, specifically that of Otago, I felt like I was in some sort of symphony orchestra, working out the crypticness of the itinerary map that I had before me on my cell phone, which I'm not allowed to read while I'm driving. So, I got completely lost. I went completely to the other side of the roadworks that are purportedly currently here.
Yes.
So
you're like a sight-reading musician. They get lost as well. So
because I'm a violin out of tune. I felt like a violin out of tune or a viola or something a double. So here we go. Well, I'm going to ask for you to introduce yourself, sir.
Sure. Yeah.
And
I'm
we'll go into some questions.
I'm Peter Adams, and I do a lot of conducting, and I teach music here at the University of Otago. I'm a dinosaur. I've been at this university for 30 years.
Dinosaur.
I started as a junior lecturer in 1990.
What was that like, being a junior?
Oh well,
I
walked in here and people who had taught me, I was junior at the age of 30.
Oh, junior again at 30.
Junior lecturer at 30.
Yes.
But it was a job in the university lecturing, so it's great. Of course you were the dog's body. You're the first person in, so you get all the teaching no one else wants. You can do this, you can do that.
You can go.
You can coach the juniors. No one else wants to do it. So I've been here ever since, and I've always loved music, and I've loved chess amongst other things as well because of the family, I guess. And so I've been here. I wave my arms around and doing quite a lot of conducting. And I've done that for a long time.
Yes.
And I've conducted brass bands and orchestras and choirs, and I've specialised particularly in youth groups. So I work a lot with the National Youth Brass Band of New Zealand, the South Island Youth Orchestra.
Is there one?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, all these groups, and
of course.
Yep, and I got into music like most kids, learning instruments. So clarinet and saxophone were my instruments, and I was started to learn the clarinet about the same age I started to learn chess.
Yeah, so, as you've said to me, yes.
Yeah, I was about 12 or something, or 11. So I played the clarinet a bit. I don't play much now, but I used to be quite good, but not anymore. You know what it's like. It's like driving a Mazda, isn't it? You could probably drive at 100 miles an hour, but I suspect you don't anymore. So, no comment, he says.
No, not because this goes on the internet, and I don't want to start.
So I want to ask you how long it took you to go from Christchurch to Ashburton on the straights, and
just the normal time.
My
car will not allow me. The navigational lady unit in my car will not allow me to go one slight bit over the speed limit.
Okay.
Even though I can ignore her.
Yes.
Yeah. It gets a bit annoying to ignore her.
Yes. She keeps interrupting like women do.
Yeah. It's just like that.
Sorry, apologies for the sexist remark.
But that's in the Bible too, isn't it? Like a lot of that is in Proverbs.
Yes.
Proverbs speaks about better this than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we we definitely hold women in high regard and respect them, and we don't put up and tolerate with things that are violence or something like that, or abuse, or yelling at our partners or whoever they are or whatever, and threatening and all those sorts of things, which I'm dead against those sorts of things.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, here we go. Let's get into this. So this is a bit of a basic question, but who's the better player out of your dad and your brother?
I suspect I'm the weakest.
Oh, yeah. Do you suspect it?
I'm pretty sure.
So it's not a concrete.
No. So my dad is Jeff.
What's your strength then when you're playing them? And you're just about going to get. Where is this question? A friend of mine's asked me to ask these questions, and I've tried to familiarise myself with the joining of music and chess. Because in the book I've got is the Battle of Chess Ideas.
Yep.
Is it the Battle of Chess Ideas, where they talk about the different forms of chess, like the creativeness and the inventiveness, which are sort of similar, and the discovery and the beauty and all that, the love of it and all that sort of stuff. But also in there, or at least in the How to Cheat at Chess, is chess and music.
Yeah.
And like, so there's some things, if I say, Shostakovich and Tchaikovsky and all that sort of stuff, means something to you. I know Tchaikovsky, but I don't know him personally.
Whereas, see, where I would fail with Dad and Jonathan is I haven't kept up with opening theory at all. So, if I said to you, Alekines, or the Perk, or the Catalan, you're
doing a lot better than a lot of people.
You would know actually the order, the sequence of moves, and I can remember some of them. In some of the openings I used to play, but I'm loving at the moment watching, say, Carlsen play, and he's just pushing the envelope. So when he's black, he's playing, G6 to fianchetto the bishop, but then he brings the knight out to E4 and D4. And if someone pushes to E5, he's moving his knight out to H5. And it's like breaking all the rules. He's got this knight sitting there. He calls this opening the Norwegian rat. I think that's so funny. He's just saying, and he's saying, no one's refuted this yet. Come on, guys, this is rubbish, this opening. And it's lovely to watch a world champion having a bit of banter and doing things like that. And so Dad, my father Jeff Adams, he was the Otago schoolboy champion before I was even born. He was hugely into chess, and he played in the chess club. And my brother Jonathan, he's the strongest of all three of us. He's older than me, so he's like 63. Yeah, but he's played chess all his life. He's studied chess. He's got 200 chess books. He's probably a little like you, lots of books. And he's been the non-playing captain of the Australian chess team. So he's taken the Australian chess team to the Olympiads. He's been to Abu Dhabi and to India, places like this, with Greg Lane, the international master, Gary Lane, and others in that team. And he plays regularly at the Rooty Hill Chess Club, what a great name, in Penrith in Sydney, and he lives over there. So I haven't played him in many years, and I'm a bit of a lapsed chess player who's just getting back into it, mainly through watching bits and pieces on YouTube. And I play my computer, but I've got a cheap program on my iPad, and it's frustrating because I can't beat the bloody thing. That's very frustrating. But it's all the more frustrating because, if I go E4, it doesn't do E5 or C5 or E6, a French defence or anything like this. It does stupid moves, but it does moves that won't ever lose it a piece or something. And I can't bloody beat it. I can go forever against the damn thing, but I can't beat it. And it's not even on its strongest level, because if it's on its strongest level, it's too slow. So that's me. I'm just getting back into chess, but I loved chess, and I had, I remember you at the Otago Chess Club, you came along
Oh,
as
that
rather
me.
a chatterbox of a noisy young boy, as you
Yes,
remember.
definitely.
And you would have been there
Still
with
am.
Tony Dowden and Tony Love and Robert Wansink and all these people who were there, and the older guys like Graham Hayes and Bob Glass, and there were some good, very good chess players back then. It was quite a thriving club. I hope it still is. I don't know actually.
Well, and I think to myself, when you're doing a bit of expose or whatever the word is, who cares? Who cares about the way you say words correctly from a Dutch parents or whatever? When you were talking about Jonathan, that he's the capitan of the great team from Australia, if they've got any. When you were talking about that, I was thinking, oh, you know, brother like brother, you know, because you're a conductor as well, and he's a conductor of
that
these
team.
chess players,
Yes,
so
quite
he's
right.
like a conductor, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yeah,
Really?
that's a really good analogy. I hadn't thought of that, but that's exactly right.
I come up with these things.
Yeah, because the conductor is actually, you know, the conductor doesn't make any of the music, and Jonathan's not playing any of the chess, but he's
like
the person who
brain
directs it all and helps it happen and makes it happen and facilitates it. So yes, you're quite right. Yeah, never thought of that.
It just
You're
happens
smarter
to
than
be.
you look.
I know, because I don't look very smart, do I? Because
You look very smart, actually. Very
can you
smart.
judge a chess player by the way they look?
That's a really good question. No, because you know, my dad likes playing chess at the age of 85. He likes playing via the internet, and one of the main reason is he finds that if he plays a living person across from him, the sort of slight gamesmanship, the little facial expressions, they put him off. You know, and a person can make a little move, and they're obviously just trying to trap you, you know, but they make a little, I made a mistake there, and they, you know, they're just, you know, we used to have that gamesmanship quite a lot. I remember some of the kids just hoping you'd walk into a little trap and they'd, or the ones who look at you confidently in the eye and they're just trying to psych you out. So my dad much prefers not seeing his opponent.
Yeah, okay. And like another analogy I made to MP back then, Jerry Brownlee, was I met him at Pack and Save real quickly, and that today is 8.5 years to this day. Just a half an hour ago, 8.5 years ago, Christchurch was rocked by the big earthquake that we experienced at like 1:45, 10:50 in the afternoon.
I remember that so well. It was student enrolment here, and students were coming in and telling us. We were sitting in a lecture room. They were coming in and telling us big earthquake. And the cathedral spire had fallen down, and it was terrible. And like the thing that I made this analogy with Jerry Brownlee, MP, Right Honorary MP Jerry Brownlee, which we have to give these people this title because they have got a place of office, and I find that lately people are bad mouthing the big politicians and that, whereas Eastern society will not attack their leaders, even if they're really decrepit and really terrible. But the analogy I made was, it's like the Hanna-Barbera cartoon of the guy smoothing out the cement, for the big cement pad that he's just completed the carpenter or builder or whatever he's called. And along comes the kangaroo, boing, 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 through the cement, makes a big mess. And because it's like that with the earthquakes, because the earthquakes for Christchurch, they had just repaired from the September 4th, 2010 earthquakes over in the Hornby districts. They just replenished and repaired and paid out and all that sort of thing. And along came the big one, which was... did all that damage.
People died, of course. And then the next scene is he's fixed the pad again, and along comes Kangaroo the second and third time, you know, and the fourth time he sees the Kangaroo, he's just made the pad perfect again, and along comes the Kangaroo, and he goes right in the middle of the pad of cement, and it starts with his gumboots, of course, because he's not wearing black shoes or something, he's wearing gumboots. And he just makes a mess of the pad this time, only to see that this time the kangaroo's gone round the pad instead of like trying to get here on my way here to this place. It's like I felt like that kangaroo going around the pad going, where do I go? It took me an hour and a half to get here from just like down the street there.
Gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll remember next time never to give you directions.
No,
I shall get you to your nav man.
Don't give me landmarks. I hate landmarks. You should have just given me the nav man, and it would just said, "Oh, I can't get there that way." Oh, redirection.
Yeah.
So who did
It's a bit
actually
like chess, isn't it? You know, can't get there that way. That attack's not going to work, or he's thought of that. Now I've got to find another way. So.
Yeah. Now, anyway, I'm going to jump right in here.
Yeah, go for it.
1972, July the 23rd, 1972. It's a Sunday, and here is Bobby Fischer, as white, playing the great Boris Spassky, World Chess Champion.
Reykjavik.
Yeah, you can say that because you got your tongue around that.
I said it right. I probably said it wrong. Yeah.
And so, what did you think when Boris Spassky signs a score sheet with resignation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he signs resignation on a score sheet because he's been just like this the match of the century, or Donald Byrne with Fischer was another match of the century, so there were a couple vying for the same spot. But what did you think when he stood up and applauded Bobby Fischer after the resignation?
I thought that was a great moment because, of course, Fischer and his team had been, you know, there was all that fuss over the chair that one of them was sitting in, and you know, Fischer was basically saying the Russians are bugging, and the Russians are, you know, the Cold War, it was the height of the Cold War.
Yes, it was.
So Russia and USA didn't have a great relationship, and so Fischer and Spassky were symbolic of that. And I thought what was brilliant was, as you say, Spassky applauded the brilliant play of Fischer, and it showed that despite all these the politicians might not speak to each other, and no doubt the Russians desperately wanted Spassky to win for the honour of Russia, but Spassky was just saying, you are great, you know, and I applaud you.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
And it brought it back down to a human level, and it's a great tragedy, isn't it, that Fischer's
Spassky lost.
Yeah, well, no, it's a tragedy that Fischer sort of disappeared after that, and there were rumours that he became homeless, and rumours that he's played some chess online under different names, and you never know. It's all like that. But that was a great moment because that brought chess into the public eye more than anything else. And I think that was one of the reasons it was about then that I probably was starting to learn chess.
Yeah.
You know, and suddenly it was in the news. Yes. We even saw chess players briefly for 10 seconds in the television news. You know? That doesn't happen now, does it? You know?
No.
They don't have chess on the sports news on TV1.
No, they don't. No, they don't seem to, do they?
No. So it was a great moment. Yeah.
So when Boris Spassky was writing resignation on a score sheet, do you think he sung in Russian language? Do you think he say, "Always look on the bright side of life"? Ta-da-da-da-da-da.
Do you think he got punished when he went back to Russia? Do you think they put him into Siberia for a year or two just for losing to the Westerner?
Depends how he was placed in the car at the end of whether he was hugged and handshook or whatever. But
did he carry on after? Did Spassky play more chess after?
Absolutely,
he did.
Definitely, completely the contrary to that of Fischer, even though Fischer still came back in 1991 or 93 or so to play Spassky again, and in another match. I think it was more of I'm completely out of my depth here, but they met again in the 90s to conduct another match, which Fischer he won that again. Right. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah. I've got my viewpoints about what happened for Fischer post that match and all that sort of thing. But I do know that Bobby Fischer was in the car after that game, round 6, and he was saying, "Did you see what he did? Did you see what he did? That's a real sportsman. What Mr. Spassky did, you know."
Yeah, yeah. So he appreciated it. That's nice to know.
He was in awe of that standing ovation that he got from the grandmasters in the crowd and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Great moment for chess.
Yeah, it is. For Russia, not. But also, it could be that Fischer was in that game toiling a wee bit with Spassky. He was saying, I've got you.
Yeah.
And he moves his rook from F1 square to F2, and then shortly thereafter moves it to F3. So he's basically saying to Spassky, I can even waste tempo, which is a music term.
Yeah.
Same as PPP or FFF.
Yes.
It's not for the swear word, although some people might think it is, but it's
no, it's not.
It's not for any swear words to be in disguise of. It's just real quiet, or like, unlike me, I'm often FFF.
Do you remember, talking of Russians, one of the things we used to do at Otago Chess Club is when the Russian sailors came in, somebody would organise a group of us from Otago Chess Club to go and play chess. Because Russians play chess, and so some of the composers I conduct, you know, some of the Russian composers, Prokofiev apparently, who wrote Peter and the Wolf, and famous composer, he was a very strong chess player.
Yes,
very
he
strong.
was.
And so, but those Russians, so, you know, you can't imagine a New Zealand guy who works for Sea Lord on a boat being a good chess player. But these Russian crewmen who were just doing strong physical manual labour, they were good chess players. And the great thing about it was they always had a little bit of vodka or something, and some of us kids who weren't old enough to drink anything often got a little smidgen from one of these kind sailors. But did you play any of those?
Yeah, and I did, and I got who's doing this interview?
I know, sorry.
But I've got
think I
fond
better bring
memories.
you back to the point.
I've got fond memory. I know. Yeah. I've got fond. You're the conductor. So just excuse me, Mr. Baton. That is the baton. I can remember with Russians when I went to the boats down there in Port Chalmers or wherever they were these big Russian loaves of bread, these big things that were about that long. I'm not actually kidding.
They were huge.
And like you have to cut through them with a chainsaw to get through them, because they're just like impossible to breach with just a carving knife or whatever. Something like that.
No, that's right.
And they had these Sawyer kind of lolly kind of and octopus squid.
Yes.
They'd feed us squid.
That's
right. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, yeah. You know, they were very grateful that people came out and
black tea.
Black tea, that's right.
Real black tea.
Yeah.
Not like the Dutch make it.
No.
Real black tea. Like
probably stand the teaspoon up in it and it wouldn't fall over. Yeah.
I know, I've heard that analogy before. And when you're where's my question? I've got some special questions for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I've got some special questions, homebrew questions, but I can't find my bits of paper for it. Is it in here? No, it's not. Sorry.
You've got a handful of paper there.
I've got them here, I think. Yeah. Now, speaking about 1972, Peter. Cast your mind back to 1972 about that great, everybody knows and their dog, that chess match. Okay?
Yeah.
So, what was it like back in April 1972 on a Thursday at the library of the Otago Boys High School on a Thursday? I think it might have been lunchtime or 1 o'clock, but I can't get a specific date of April. When you were playing what's my friends called Samson Kazakov now, or Samson Roman Polanski Kazakov. Yeah. But his name was Lewis, and he was playing you some chess, and And purportedly, he says, I think he said he was white and he won.
Yeah, yeah.
So can you remember that moment?
Not really.
Okay, fair enough.
Inter-school chess. Inter-school.
No, it's just the Otago boys.
Just the Otago boys, yeah.
Just in the library, just casual.
Yeah. And we did. We played. I remember playing quite a lot of chess with a friend of mine.
Because you got the Lictors there. You got
the Lictors, Jonathan and David Lichter.
Yep.
And Roger Gilman. Did you know Roger Gilman?
No,
he was another chess player. I played a lot of chess with Roger Gilman. The Lichters were strong players. Philip Paris. He was another. These are all names from the past.
Is he from Otago Boys?
Yes, I think he was. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But the Lichters were very good. Yeah, I wasn't in their league. I don't think. Not at that stage.
So when you play the King's Gambit, when you're about to be checkmated.
Someone's got a good memory.
Yeah. When you play the King's Gambit, when you're about to be checkmated by your opponent, do you start singing that song again? Or do you hear the cannons from Tchaikovsky's 1812 overture? Do you hear the cannons from that symphony?
Boom, 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 boom.
And when you're about to give your chess mate checkmate, do you hear the Peals of Bach's Fifth Symphony orchestra for playing while you're playing?
Yeah. Actually, funnily enough,
does that happen for you?
Music and maths and music and chess, there's quite the brain works in the same ways. All these patterns and things. So I don't know. I imagine when I played chess, maybe there were bits of background music going on in my mind, but but I can't consciously think of any.
Are they methodical, or are they more no structure at all?
No structure at all, probably. But like my chess playing, probably.
Like mine too, man.
The trouble is, I could, the Ryla Pierce opening, I could play the first 5 moves, and after that I'm thinking, oh no, what should I be playing here?
That's good on you. So you're like the Magnus Carlsen there, aren't you? You're still like.
I wouldn't. I think that's about where the comparison stops.
Well, that's right, but that's really good, because that will hold you in high regard and high esteem, as you already are, of course, in the chess field, because they'll go, you can't prepare for this guy. You can't sort of say what's he going to play after move 5. So I'm finding that myself, that if my opponent doesn't know what the heck I'm doing, like I'm going here with my queen, and all of a sudden I'm on the other side of the whole landscape of the chessboard, then they'll suddenly go, what?
That's what's extraordinary at the moment. There are all these videos of Carlsen playing very fast games, 3-minute games or whatever, with users of this particular chess site. And so what he does, and he talks through it, and it's great, but he'll do things like old opening. He'll do, if the opponent does pawn to king 4, e4. He'll do d5 and get his queen out straight away and put it over on the side, and he's doing sort of weaker openings, but it's almost like I'm giving you a chance here. I'm not even going to play a really strong opening. I'm going to get my queen in the wrong place, but he just then makes a virtue of it, and the opponent's completely out of the book within about 5 moves. Or he's put his knight out at f6 and then over at h5, while the wings. What the hell's it doing there? and it's great, isn't it? I mean,
you say it's been a night.
It's like he knows that all of these players, and many of them he's playing are still international masters or even grandmasters. He knows they know the first 20 moves of just about every Narsdorf Sicilian or every Perk or whatever. So he's playing unconventionally and he wins.
And it's very, very good that he's doing that in this time and day and age and all that sort of thing. That he's so versatile, and so he utilises his sort of like, I have to apologise. I'll do it on camera. I have to apologise. I have already, but I'm profusely sorry, because I walked into someone's lecture room and I started to banter at them.
Ah!
And I started to talk about the brain, and I said, look, you don't have to tell the brain, like the car, you don't have to tell a car, look, the petrol's in the car, you know, I've put petrol, the petrol's full tank, and now I expect you to drive. And in chess, a lot of the people that I tutor or help with their game, even if it's just not even with the chessboard there, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, look, don't tell the brain what to do, because it'll do it naturally. And that's what Magnus Carlsen is strikingly very familiar at, is he just, and it's like, you know, once you've got your symphony worked out, you know this is the pattern and the movement and the tempo, if you like, or the whatever, and this is when it goes really FFF, and this is FF and PP, P, and etc. And you, once you know that, you don't have to look at this bit of paper
No,
anymore,
you don't.
do you?
That's exactly right. No, you don't. You know, it's just the starting point, and no, that's right. And so I quite enjoy just watching these guys. You know, these world champions, these top players.
I'm trying to stick to music. I'm trying to
music. Yeah. So actually, I think there's a lot of connections between music and chess, and so music. I'm still, you know, still absolutely love it. I grew up listening to lots of music, and that's why I got into it. Dad was a hi-fi nut, so he had really good stereo, tons of records. He used to play records at 8 o'clock on the Sunday morning and wake us all up, and they'd either be jazz and Benny Goodman and Woody Herman and all these jazz clarinet players and things. That's why I got into the clarinet. But sometimes you'd play big Sibelius symphonies from Scandinavia or whatever, so you get loud orchestral music. And you know, I remember one time we were living in Queen Street above Knox Church.
Yes, I remember.
And we were surrounded by student flats. And one Saturday night there was an enormous party. And it went on to about 3 in the morning with all sorts of pounding drums and bass. So Dad, 7:30 the following morning, he got up and he opened all the windows of our lounge and he turned his hi-fi up to full blast and he started blasting our Russian symphony that starts with 24 trumpets. Khachaturian is the guy's name, the composer, and he's got a symphony with the Bolshoi theatre trumpet players at the start in full bore. So he gave complete revenge to the student flat that probably had all these comatose bodies at the party up to 3 in the morning, and he just blasted them this classical music at full bore. It was hilarious.
I find that really uncanny that the Adams family that they're stooping to their level.
Revenge is sweet sometimes.
It's amazing. Revenge is sweet.
Sometimes.
And I'm actually enjoying just having my questions there in the laptop. The hiding in a Word document that I can't manipulate. But I quite like just to. I like to just have them there in case I get stuck and don't get any prompting. I can't do any more prompting. I go, what do I do now? But I'm aware of the time, so I don't want to go over time, and I don't want to talk too much, because I actually time how much ratio of talking in an interview I'm doing comparative to that of the person who's meant to be the interviewee. And so I've got, what was it I wrote down here before? What annoys you, what annoys people in your opinion about chess clubs? Can you tell me, can you give me, because I'm going to talk about that question about what do you think annoys people about chess clubs? And I just don't want to give you any input there.
No.
Sir.
Okay. I haven't been in a chess club for a long time, and I want to go back. Actually, maybe when I retire, or maybe even before then, I might start going back. I must find out what nights are chess club nights. But what annoys people? I imagine that sometimes it might be that you can't actually you have to go out the back if you want to talk about the game and just analyse it on the spot. So you can't, you know, it's a bit like a library, you've got to be quiet and all of that. When I played chess, we were all graded. We had the perpetual handicap. You could play anybody if you organised it and get points. But you were in the A grade or the B grade. I was never in the A grade. You know, that was Graham Hayes and Tony Love and Robert Wansink and Roger Perry, all these names of the past. I was more C and D. I was with people like Doug Cameron, the painter who had bad eyesight. I don't know if you remember Doug, but he was always...
he's my mentor.
He was a mentor. He and Gerald Williams took the Friday night chess club and taught the kids.
Yeah, sure.
And he was like Gerald Williams, who was a big portly man. He and Gerald taught us kids. Must have been quite good teachers because we sort of learned.
Yeah.
You know, but what annoys people, I think maybe it's that it is structured, and on a club night you've got this talk. I mean, it'd be nice to have more social drop-in times when you could play. 'Cause some of the fun things I remember were when we played some of those crazy variants of chess, where you and I would play two people across there. Yeah, and if I took someone's pawn, I could give it to you, and you could plop it down. And these sorts of things, they were fun. They kept your brain going, and they
as well.
Because the thing about chess, it's a bit like playing the piano, rather than being an orchestra, because it's you. And it can be socially not great. Whereas in an orchestra, when I got into music, was I played the clarinet, I was in an orchestra, I made friends. My first girlfriends were some attractive girls playing the violin. You know. but the poor kids learning the piano, they didn't get to play with other kids, they just had to practice at home, and the nuns would slap them over the finger with the ruler if they hit a wrong note or something. And I think chess can be a little bit like that it can be seen as a bit solitary. It's just you, and that's great. But at times when it was social, you know, I still remember some of those names I talked to you about as quite friends. I mean, Dowden and Love and those guys were much better players than I was. But we would have a bit of fun occasionally, play transfer chess, and we were all the same age, and there was a social side to it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's an important side of it.
Bit of banter.
And a bit of banter.
A bit of banter and chess pieces flying around the
And I remember you were quite a natural talent, really, weren't you?
That's what they think. Some people say that.
Yeah, you know, So you came in and
you
went.
So this thing about I'm aware of the time.
Yeah, that's all right.
So this thing about you've already said that I'm not the sort of person that you'd consider would look like a chess player, and that's probably fair enough to say that. I could appear as something else, like some sort of bogeyman or something. But I'm just, like this thing about I'm really getting into the brain and thinking about, like, you don't have to crack the whip with the brain, and like I've found out that Susan Polgar was the world chess champion for women, of course, and a primo chess player like Judith Polgar.
Yes.
Really, really fantastic lady, woman chess player.
Yes.
But they found out that she's just when she sees a chess position in front of her, she recognises it with her software from her recognition for facial recognition software in the brain.
In the brain. Right.
Yeah, and so when she sees that position, she doesn't have to go, oh, I recognise that person. She's going, I recognise that position.
Yeah.
And that's like
the brain.
Music. You'll be able to hear just a couple of notes, okay?
Yeah.
And your brain will connect with that, and it'll say, wow, that's you'll be able to name it.
Yes.
I'm sitting there saying these people's names, making it sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But it's true, you know. I mean, we get to recognise with our brains the things that we do a lot of. I do a ton of music. You do much more chess than me, and you're probably, you know, I mean, one of the things about chess, I'm probably hopeless at end games. You know, if it came down to a couple of rooks and a couple of pawns, I really wouldn't know quite the basic sort of theory of those end games. Whereas for you probably learnt that theory long ago and have moved on, and you just intuitively know what you're roughly meant to do. you know.
roughly meant to do.
Well, more than
I think that's correct. So I think that's very, very true that it's roughly, because it's just we're impersonators at the end of the day. I think that unless we're someone like Gary Lane or some, even though I've had a success with him in Lightning, that he wants to get me back, but that depends if I turn up.
Of course.
Because if I'm going to play him,
you can say, keep that 1-0 victory over him.
I mean, like,
always have that over him. Oh, Gary,
oh, you got it. I've still got that plus score. Yes, but you're meant to play me then. I won by default. Not the same thing, is it?
No.
So anyway, I'm thinking that there's some songs that come to mind. Just in the, like We Are the Champions.
We are the champions, my friends.
And so why is it We Are the Champions? Why isn't it
I am the
champion? And there's the one from Police, which is what's the one from Every Move I Make?
Every move I make.
Every piece I take.
Yes, that's right.
And all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not a chess game, of course. Sorry, it's not a chess.
There's a musical called Chess, of course.
I know.
The ABBA guys. Brilliant.
I know. And so, is that? Do you consider like the music? That's one of my questions for you. Chess the Musical, as it's called.
Yes.
So if you want to get it, you can get it on DVD.
Yeah, you can. Absolutely.
I think you might be able to get
really
it
good music.
or download it. But is that? Do you classify that like next to someone like Brahms?
Well, it's a different genre. It's musical theatre or operetta, musical theatre, show music. It's great of its type, definitely. And I mean, One Night in Bangkok is a great song. It's
really
a hit.
Got a good ring to it.
It's sort of loosely based on Fisher Spassky, I suppose, isn't it?
Yes,
roughly.
I think so.
It's fictionalised and taken away, but I mean, I like pop music. I like jazz. I like rock. I love classical.
Hey.
I like all music's got something to speak, including non-Western music. Indian music or Indonesian music or Maori music. It's all music does something. It communicates and does something. So
So what's your favourite type of music? What genre? Music do you really like most? Even though we've heard about what your dad would do to next door
What
neighbours.
would I go back to? I've got two. I love big symphonic things, so full orchestra playing, because of just the range of colour that you've got. Whether it's the strings, the woodwind, the brass, the percussion, they all interact, and you get kaleidoscopic changing colours. But I also really like some jazz. Particularly, I love Stan Getz, who's an American jazz saxophonist, and he makes the saxophone sound like a human voice, and it's gruff and it's tender. It's all sorts of things, and it's I love that improvised thing. It's the way he'll play a standard tune, and the tune might be Summertime or something, but it's every time he does it, it's different.
Cool.
It's really cool. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Jazz. Stan Getz. Have a listen to Stan Getz, guys. It's good.
Okay, and would you like to close it now, or the absolute deadline?
All right.
Past the deadline.
No, that's all right.
If you would like to just end it, and then I'll go up here now and leave you to close it.
Queen to D8, checkmate. It's been really great talking to you and catching up. Haven't seen you for about 30 years, and talking chess and music. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So all the best. Thanks.
Oh, we didn't record it. I hope we did.
I knew you were going to say that.
I've always got to get the last word in. You ready? You can say the last word. Last word?
The last word.